Number 1 Georgia faces number 14 Mizzou this Saturday in what looks like the battle for the SEC East. I'm joined by our Georgia beat writer, Chip Towers. Chip, honestly, this is shaping up to be the biggest game of Georgia's season.
Oh, it is, and it's interesting the way the whole schedule sets up this year. They just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Florida, last weekend in Florida was huge. You just absolutely couldn't lose it. This week against Missouri right here at Sanford Stadium will be the biggest game at Sanford Stadium this year, bar none. And take care of business against them, well, the next week against Ole Miss will be bigger still. So that's where we're at the year. People talk about the playoff. It's kind of a playoff all year long. And Georgia's definitely got a playoff game against a way better Missouri team than I think any of us anticipated, better than they were last year. And as you know, they gave Georgia all they could handle last year in Columbia, Missouri. So sets up for a great game. That's the reason CBS is showing up, and that's the reason this stadium right here will be packed to the gills on Saturday.
If it were not for a fourth quarter comeback last year, Georgia's season probably turns out totally differently, and so many of those talented skill guys will be back this season, including one receiver that you have a story about.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, especially when I got down in the weeds and looked at it a little bit. But, Dominic Lovett is from East St. Louis, Missouri Senior High School. Luther Burden, the star for the Missouri Tigers, is from East St. Louis, Illinois Senior High. It's on the other side of the river from Illinois. They're from the same hood, basically. And these two guys are great. And, it's interesting. Georgia really thought they were going to get Luther Burden, a 5-star prospect. He ends up staying in state with Missouri. Dominic Lovett was already there, welcomed the young phenom to Columbia, Missouri. And then he leaves. He bolts for Georgia because he wants to compete for championships and sort of, rise his own star and everything else. Luther Burden, when Dominic Lovett leaves, moves from outside into the slot, and he has flourished. He's their best player. So listen, man, that's a great matchup in Saturday's game. Obviously, they won't be playing each other, but, the story behind the story there is really fascinating. He's here, Dominic Lovett, as Georgia's leading wide receiver, playing for championships. Luther Burden is flourished in the hometown team. Great matchup on Saturday.
There are so many guys from Missouri who are so dangerous. You mentioned Burden. You've got Cody Schrader on the ground. Quarterback Brady Cook. Georgia coach Kirby Smart at his Monday press conference was singing Cook's praises. Yeah. What's the biggest thing Georgia has to look out for?
Wow, I mean, there's a lot of things in this game. It's a great matchup. So their receiving core is elite, as Kirby likes to say, and the matchup between them and Georgia's secondary is going to be fascinating. But you can't be overly cognizant of it between them and Brady Cook because of the ground game that you're talking about. I mean, they're big and beefy up front. Defensively, they're strong. Maybe the best defense Georgia's played. I don't know if Florida was coming in, but, Georgia tended to humiliate them a little bit or certainly humble them. And so it's the same thing here. I think defending those wideouts, getting pressure on Brady Cook, and also standing up against the run game. I mean, let's face it, that's what Georgia always does. Cody Schrader will be that. That's who they're going to try to take away. And then deal with the other riffraff. But it's not going to be automatic. Brady Cook's a great quarterback, and you could just sense the respect from Kirby Smart, Eli Drinkwitz, everything they bring to the table.
Give me your read on this game going into it, because, it always seems like Georgia hasn't lost in the regular season since 2020 against Florida. And, last year against Tennessee, this year against Kentucky, maybe against Florida too.
Yeah.
And then there's all these games we think might be somebody's finally going to upset Georgia.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't happen. You just talked about Schrader, the only guy who rushes for more per game in the SEC. Kentucky's Ray Davis. Georgia shut him down.
Right.
So what's your mindset on how much of a threat Missouri can actually be to this Georgia team?
Well, I think the difference is right here where we're standing. Georgia is playing this game at home, and they are so tough at home. And, Kirby, he's already done it this week, asking the Georgia fans, we really need you. And, man, they respond to their coach, right? This has become one of the toughest places in America for a visiting team to come in and play. And, I think that's worth a touchdown or so, every week. So to say that Missouri has to play great to beat Georgia doesn't even come close enough to talking about the real challenge that faces the Missouri Tigers. And I'll go ahead and say the same thing about the next week against Ole Miss. They got to come here, and Georgia's just a tough team to beat anyway. But beating them here, man, that's been almost an impossibility for 3 years now.
Well, we'll see if home field advantage can give the Bulldogs an extra edge. Thanks to all of you for watching. Make sure you go to ajc.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more videos just like this one.